Hi, it's Scott from We Love Boating with another yacht tour. There's a lot of competition in the 72-foot Flybridge category, and the tour we're going to do today is a boat that I think gives this category a real run for its money. It's a Majesty Yachts 72 Flybridge. I think you're going to be really surprised and pleased at what you see. So let's jump on board and do the tour. The boat that we're going to tour today is actually being brokered by Ray White Marine here in Sydney. So for anybody interested in buying the boat, you can contact those guys. Let's start by jumping onto the swim deck, and you would notice that there's a high-low section there, and this is where most owners, I'm told, choose to keep their tenders. There is an option to pop a tender up on the Flybridge deck, but this is where most owners are choosing to do this, which means that there is no tender garage, but I'll show you what is in that space in behind that lazarette there in terms of crew accommodation and crew area. And it's an area where I think this boat really does excel in comparison to its competition. And if you think about like Princess Y72s, Azimuths, Ferretti 670s, one of the things which Majesty Yachts have done is they've made this boat in some cases 40 centimetres or over a foot wider in terms of beam. And you do notice it in certain areas. This aft cockpit feels very wide, very roomy, a great place of course under the hardtop just above us here, nicely shaded. And then over here we've got a great area for serving drinks, of course platters, etc. So this is obviously one of the boat's key entertaining zones like that. Beautiful teak decking, as you would have picked up earlier, but this does present exceptionally well. Access up onto the Flybridge is via those stairs just there. We're going to duck up there shortly on the tour, but what we're going to do now is come into the main deck salon, and it is lovely. One of the things to note is that Majesty Yachts do all of their construction of all fittings, including the furniture that you're looking at here, in-house, which just makes it easier, of course, to control quality, but also to meet the needs of their customers. And as you can see here, it's a very lovely contemporary looking aesthetic that they've gone for. It's like a pale ash or pale oak, I think, timbers, and on the floor these are walnut. That's very, very nice. So two lounging sections. This one just to my right here on the starboard side, that's where the television rises up. So of course that means that opposite that on this L-shaped section is the perfect place to take in the view of that. There's two choices in terms of where you can have your galley. This is the galley forward arrangement, but you can swap out. Essentially you can move this lounging section forward and bring the galley aft if you want to have an aft galley and connect more with the aft cockpit. You can do that, but this is a very nice arrangement as it is. We've got the dining section over here set up for 8 guests. There are 4 cabins, so that's perfect. And then if we move forward, see that we've got some storage sections over here, really nicely decorated. And I like these window sections, really, really nice as well. Lovely. The galley looks like this, very contemporary. You can see here they've gone for these very, very dark timber sections here in contrast to the very pale stone countertops. Nice curvature on everything. And then you can see here that we've got a 60 centimetre Siemens dishwasher, cooktop with 4 hobs, and a 60 centimetre oven as well. And then the refrigeration in front of us like this, a fridge freezer, nice size. like that. Terrific. Those stairs take us down to the lower deck. We'll take those soon, have a look at the 4 guest cabins. But we also want to have a look at this section just in front of us here, because it's a lovely space. A terrific area to bring up a cup of tea or coffee or a glass of something else and enjoy the view out and chat to whoever's skippering the boat. At 72 feet, it's right on the edge, I suppose, of people who might want to own and operate their own boats. And as I said, there is area down on the lower deck for crew, but a really nice helm. As you can see here, we've got the 3 Garmin multifunction displays just there. We've got over to the right, you've got the engine controls, the 2 thrusters controls. I'll just squeeze over there so you can see those. Bow and stern, like that. All of the things like searchlights, underwater lights, all of those are here, as well as things like the autopilot, etc. But in terms of aesthetics, it's a very, very nice place. 2 helm chairs, bolsters, like that, and both with a folding footrest section like that. That's very nice. If I come back, you get a good view of the whole of that salon as well. There you go. Very nice. Before we duck down to the lower deck, let's skip up to the Flybridge and have a look at just what we've got up here. It's a beautiful day to be touring this boat, so I always like touring Flybridge boats on a lovely day like this. And I'll move all the way back here so you can get a good view of what's on offer. Now you can see at the aft end of the Flybridge that there's a space there that when I said before that you could have a crane up here, that would take a smaller tender or a personal watercraft of some type. But I have seen these arranged with permanent lounges or as you can imagine, loose furniture. But that's a very nice space to spec in the way that you would want to spec it yourself. You can see here that we've got a nice serving bar area. Underneath here, this is refrigeration, ice maker. That's an area for some garbage, etc. And then further forward, underneath the hardtop, we've got this lovely space here. That's a leafing table, if you want to make that smaller, or set it up for dining like we have now for all guests. That is perfect. And then on the starboard side, we've got a second, I suppose what you could call an entertaining area, where we've got, if I pull this up, you can see here that we've got a grilling area, a sink. Underneath that, we've got more storage like this, and then forward of that we've got more refrigeration. So again, if you did have crew, if you wanted to have a skipper out for the day, or maybe someone to do a bit of catering, this would be a great place for them to be set up, of course. And then just forward of here, we've got the second of the lounging areas in this C section. Beautiful little spot directly opposite the Flybridge helm. Again, 2 helm chairs, finished off in that darker leather. Over there with the engine controls, bow thrusters, etc. Great view out. We're going to go down and have a look at that forward deck next, but that's a terrific view, isn't it? Here in the marina. Pretty nice. All right, why don't we, as I said, go and explore the forward decks. We'll do a bit of a lap. We'll take the starboard decks forward. One of the things I really like about Majesty Yachts is how they keep these bulwarks nice and high. The handrails are nice and high. That's kind of about halfway up my torso, so you really do feel really safe and pretty tucked in. And in fact, those handrails get higher as you move forward, so it feels really nice to be walking around here, which of course is important. And this is what we find. So it's a third of the, I suppose you could call them the socialising, entertaining areas, where we've got a telescopic teak table, so you can lower that down if you want to convert this area into one pretty big sun pad. You can do that, and as you would have spotted, there's also a bimini that can rise up and shade this entire area. Pretty nice. If I just tilt back a little bit, there you get a good view of the profile of the boat. She looks pretty nice. Another thing that Majesty have done on this model that I think's nice is how they've kept this deck really nice and clear from the ground tackle and anchor, etc. So underneath this hatch we've got a locker, ropes, etc. And then underneath this one, if I pull this up, you can see here, this is where we've got the winches and the anchor chain extending out like that. And that third locker again is for more storage. But I think that's really nice. Now, if you've got guests on board and it's pretty close to the entertaining area, you know, it's nice not to have to worry about people tripping over that stuff. And it does give a really nice, clean teak deck appearance. All right, let's come back down these side decks, and there's a fair bit to show you. In fact, on the lower deck, 4 staterooms, 3 heads, and also the crew areas, which is an area I think I said where I think this boat really excels. And we'll head down. And let's start with the VIP stateroom, which is ahead of us, up a couple of stairs in the bow of the boat. I think they do a really nice job with the way they turn these cabins out. Really nice use of contrasting materials. This one's been really nicely staged. It's a nice sized queen size bed like that, and there's a good amount of storage. There's 2 of these like that, and then you can also see that around the sides there's other places to store your belongings. And then here we've got a nice little area for makeup, or you might want to come down here with the laptop, etc. Pop your watches, jewellery, all that sort of stuff in there. That's a terrific space for that. So it's a very nice cabin. And it has one of the 3 heads on this level, and it looks like this. Very nice and bright. Majesty have gone for the use of these dark ceramics and dark tapware to finish that off. Really nice, quite striking. Looks quite good against that marble effect. Big rainfall shower. Like that. Very nice. Forward of here, there's 2 guest cabins. The first is this one. They're both set up as twin singles. You can see here, nice amount of natural light. If you can pick that up on the camera, there's this kind of, yeah, there we go. There's like this wavy kind of effect that's been stitched in to that panel there. That looks really cool. I think I mentioned the boats are built in the UAE, and I think that kind of mimics some of the sand, etc. That is, of course, part of the UAE landscape. Hanging locker, like that. And then behind this door, television. Nice size guest cabin, number 2. It shares the day head, which is here. Looks like that. Same finishes, of course. Gone for that very light oak, I think it is. Very light, like a light pale oak finish. Yeah, really nice quality. So cabin 2 and 3 share the day head. And this is cabin 3, which essentially is the same as cabin 2. 2 singles. That same feature bed head like that, which looks really nice. I didn't show you the hanging locker before. It looks like that. Good size for a guest cabin. And as with the other cabin, there's really nice natural light coming in here. These are nice cabins. So cabin 2, cabin 3, the VIP stateroom, and that leaves us with the owner's cabin, which is ahead of us just here. Beautiful, big, luxurious looking island bed, beautifully staged. For everybody who's watched a few of my videos, you know I can't help but count the number of rows of pillows. 5's the record. And here you go. We've got I think we might have a tie. There you go. But look, it's been beautifully staged by Ray White. They really are showing off this boat. It's very, very best. There's some really nice features in this owner's cabin. This area here, which is lovely for keeping some personal effects and ornaments. That'd be a great place for some books as well, your favourite travel book while you're on your adventure. Another one of these little writing makeup bureau areas, which looks lovely, like that. This is a walk-in robe, so a really good amount of hanging space in here. Obviously there's a mirror and a safe. These are other storage areas tucked in behind here, like that. And then if I pivot, you see the rest of the cabin. AV equipment, television sound bar, more hanging locker space over there. And this lovely area, what a little beauty this is. Place to come and set yourself up for the day or end the day. Fantastic. And then through here is the owner's ensuite head. This is pretty striking. Obviously this wasn't used in any of the other ensuite heads. Beautiful stone recessed piece. That is pretty cool. If you like that kind of stuff, which I do, that is cool. Nice big separate shower with that same stone that's been used to create that little section there. And then I'll just pull the door closed so I can see the rest. There's the loo. Nice big window. Plenty of storage. Pretty nice. It's pretty impressive. What do you think? I think Majesty really do finish off yachts really well. Okay, so there we go. 4 staterooms, 3 heads. I think that compares extremely well with some of the other yachts in this category and class. That's just my opinion. You can tell me what you think. Now the last area to show you is the crew area. And I did mention at the start of the tour that I think this is where this yacht really does hit a home run. We'll take a couple of steps down into the crew area. Now, as with all boats like this, where they can be crewed or not, Obviously the accommodation down here could be spillover accommodation, but let's look at it in the guise of crew accommodation. So there's actually two separate cabins. Now in some of the competitor models in this category, what you'll typically find is one cabin, usually with 2 berths. So this is what I'm told would be the captain's or the skipper's cabin. And then next to that, obviously this boat has a crew and these cabins are being used, but there is another cabin with two berths and hanging lockers just there. So clearly you could have up to 3 crew on board here, which is pretty cool. And then there's a shared wet room head for the crew like this. But that's not where it ends, because ahead of us there's a mess area for the crew. Now I have not seen that on a 72-foot Flybridge yacht. There's extra refrigeration just there. There's a kitchenette area just there, and then forward from here there's obviously a Miele washer and dryer. So I think in terms of how crew are accommodated, if you do want to crew this boat, I think you can say this is just about class leading in that regard. Now the last area to show you is the engine room, and that's just through here. So this particular boat has been upgraded. It's got twin V12 MAN engines. These are the 1550 horsepower shaft drive diesels, and that's going to give this boat a top speed of 30 knots, which is no slouch. So you're going to cruise in that kind of mid-20 range, and with about 1,500 US gallons of diesel on board. Depending on how fast you want to go, of course, that's going to give you a typical range of around 300, 330, 350 nautical miles. This boat's also been upgraded with Kohler generators. There's a water maker here, and there's also stabilizing fins. So all in all, really nice arranged boat, really good accommodation, I think, really good crew areas, and with that extra 30 to 40 centimeters of beam, I think you do notice it in certain areas. Well, why don't we come out past the tender and we'll finish the tour. So there you go, that's our full yacht tour of the Majesty Yachts 72 Flybridge. What did you think? I'm really impressed by this boat. Now, Ray White Marine here in Sydney, they are brokering the sale of this particular boat. If you or somebody you know would be interested in buying her, reach out to those people. All of Ray White Marine's details are in the description, and I appreciate them organising me to do the tour for you today. But I hope you liked it. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'll see you next week on another video. Bye for now.